Next variation, this is new. Stack your left leg on top of your right leg. Turn your left toes out 45 degrees and now lift your leg. This is going to target your glutes. So now we're working on your hips a little bit more than the inner thighs. Squeeze up a little bit more. You're going to start to feel a little bit of fatigue through the hip, through your butt. That's good. Again, try to keep your hips facing straight out to the sides. You're turning your toes up a little bit more, squeezing up a little bit higher. And it's not about how high you can get. It's more about getting that right muscle activation. So it's feeling those muscles engage. Again, toes turning up, squeezing the leg up, keeping your hips facing out to the side. You want to make sure that you're not turning your hips open toward the ceiling. That's a no-no. So if you can't turn your toes out that much yet, that's fine. You just don't have that mobility yet. But try to turn your toes out as much as you can and then lift. We'll do 10 more seconds here. A little bit higher. Turn it out a little bit more. 3, 2, 1, and then relax. Give it a little shake. And round 2, go ahead and turn the toes out. Lift the leg. Keep the hips facing out. Keep your abs tight. Keep your hips facing straight out to the side. And as you exhale, maybe turning those toes out a little bit more. So inhaling to maintain. Exhaling to turn out a little bit more, keeping the hips neutral, squared to the outside, maybe lifting a little bit more. We're going to do about 20 more seconds here. And again, if you're reaching that point where your legs are starting to shake, that's a good thing. That's what we want to have happen here. If you're doing these exercises and you're not feeling any shaking, you're not feeling any fatigue, that means that you're really not getting too much out of these exercises. It means you're already really strong or you're not trying hard enough. So either try harder or try harder. A little bit higher, last 5 seconds. Turn the toes out, 3, 2, 1, and release. And now we're going to do one breath and twist. So you're going to inhale to the outside, so inhale to the right. And as you exhale, squeeze your belly, squeeze your abs to pull your legs back toward the middle. So I'm not using my arms and my shoulders to push into the ground. I'm using my core strength to twist my knees back to the middle. So inhale your legs to the left now. Exhale, tighten the abs, squeeze back toward the middle. To the right, inhale. Exhale, back to the middle. And I'm not letting my right knee or my outer knee touch the ground here. I'm bringing it about 1 inch away from the ground and then squeezing back, using my abs to bring it back to the middle. So we're going to do about 5 more on each side here, just practicing. And if you want to make this even with the inhale and exhale, count out 3 or 4, and then count 3 or 4 back in. Keep going. Your shoulders should stay on the ground here. If you notice that one shoulder comes off the ground, the opposite shoulder comes off the ground as you're going to one side, that's okay. You just might not have that mobility in your spine yet for twisting. And as you practice this, as you do it more and more, you will develop that mobility. So what we're doing right now is a core strengthening exercise for your abs mainly, but this is also a really good exercise to work on the mobility of your spine and release tension in the lower back. So whenever you tighten your abs or whenever you feel your abs are working, that's usually releasing tension in the lower back. So again, when one side of the body engages, the opposing muscle group relaxes. So this is a good example of that here. Keep it up, almost done. You've got 1 more to each side. So make sure that you finish on the opposite side of which you started. Last one. Maybe your last one. All right. And then relax. Take the block out. We're going to work on overhead arms. So proper positioning for when your arms go overhead. So first thing, I'm going to have you bring your arms straight out in front of you. Stand pretty much like you were for mountain pose, just without the block this time. And then turn your palms to face up. Now from here, with your biceps facing up, I want you to squeeze your arms up and back as much as you possibly can. Notice that as you start to get your arms up, you're going to feel stretching kind of in the armpit area through your lats and through your rotator cuff. This is normal. Now, the difficulty in bringing your arms overhead is that most people arch their back to get their arms overhead. So make sure that you're not arching your back to cheat and get your arms straight up, but you're keeping the neutral stance that you had for mountain pose with your spine, and then trying to squeeze your arms back and up. So you're going to feel your upper back muscles engage here as you squeeze the arms back. And again, you'll feel stretching kind of around the armpit and through your lats. As you exhale, squeezing back a little bit more. As you inhale, maintaining. Make sure that you keep your neck relaxed. I know that I have this habit where I tend to do some funky stuff with my neck here, pushing my neck forward or too far back or off-centered. Try to keep your neck relaxed here. Chin relaxed toward the throat, neck pulling toward the back. And if you're doing this and keeping the ribs drawn in, and you're keeping neutral chest, this is pretty difficult to get your arms all the way back, especially if you have poor posture or your shoulders are tight. All right, and then go ahead and relax. So now if you stand on your right leg, push down through your right foot, squeeze your right hips. You want to squeeze the butt, and then lift your left knee up to hip level. And you're just going to stand here. Right leg is straight, and we want to mimic a lot of what we did in mountain pose. So the thigh internally rotates, the right glute flexes a little bit. Want to pull the ribs up away from the hips, relax the chin toward the throat, and push the top of the head toward the ceiling. All palms are facing forward. And you're going to feel a lot of the muscles that we worked when we were doing the hip, when we were doing those sideline hip abductions. You're going to feel those muscles working here. So that's how we practice those. Again, that's for balance. So if you feel that you're kind of falling out of it, just keep trying. We're going to do this for a full minute. Just holding this balanced posture, strengthening the hips, strengthening the knees, the ankles. And again, just one reminder for technique, pushing down through your big toes, pushing down through the heel, internal rotation to the thigh, external rotation to the hips. So our whole hip, thigh, and ankle are active. Abs are tight, ribs lifting up, getting tall, top of the head pressing toward the ceiling, palms facing forward. Last 10 seconds here. I don't know if that was actually a minute. I'm just assuming. And if you're shaking through the thighs, that's a good thing. 3, 2, 1, and then relax.